The sleek Zarkonian scout ship glided silently through the debris field, its sensors probing the cosmic graveyard. Lieutenant Zora peered intently at the holographic display, her four eyes blinking in rapid succession. Something was different about this sector. "Captain Lyra, I'm detecting an anomaly," Zora called out, her antennae twitching with excitement. "There's a structure hidden within the asteroid cluster ahead." Captain Lyra strode across the bridge, her emerald scales shimmering under the ambient lighting. "Impossible," she muttered. "This system was supposedly wiped clean millennia ago." The two young Zarkonian officers had been tasked with a routine survey mission of the abandoned solar system once known as Sol. It was a rite of passage for newly commissioned officers, a boring assignment meant to teach patience and attention to detail. But now, it seemed their mission might be anything but routine. As they maneuvered closer, the outline of an artificial structure became clear. It was a massive facility, cunningly disguised as just another lifeless rock. But the regularity of its shape and the faint energy signature emanating from within betrayed its true nature. It's of human design," Zara whispered, her voice a mix of awe and trepidation. Captain Lyra's scales rippled, a sign of her unease. The humans were supposed to be extinct, wiped out 800,000 years ago, by decree of the Galactic Council. Their planet, Earth, had been reduced to rubble, its inhabitants deemed too dangerous to allow into the greater galactic community. Yet here was undeniable proof that some remnant of humanity had survived. "We need to investigate," Lyra decided, her voice firm despite her inner turmoil. "Prep the landing shuttle. We're going in." As they approached the structure, dormant systems began to flicker to life. Ancient airlocks cycled open, as if welcoming the first visitors in untold millennia. Zara and Lyra exchanged nervous glances as they stepped into the facility, their environment suits whirring softly in the pressurized atmosphere. The interior was a maze of corridors and chambers, most dark and silent. But as they ventured deeper, they found a vast central hall humming with power. Row upon row of sleek metal pods lined the walls, each bearing the unmistakable form of a humanoid figure within. "By the stars," Zara breathed. "They're cryopods, the humans. They're still alive." Lyra approached one of the active pods, brushing away centuries of dust from its control panel. To her shock, the system responded to her touch, displaying vital signs and status reports in an unfamiliar script. "This is impossible," she muttered. "How could they have survived for so long? The power requirements alone." But even as she spoke, the pod before her began to cycle open with a hiss of escaping gases. The two Zarkonians stumbled back, weapons drawn instinctively as the lid slowly lifted. A human male sat up, gasping for air, his eyes wild and unfocused. He looked around in confusion before his gaze settled on the alien visitors. For a long moment, silence reigned as two species separated by 800,000 years of history regarded each other. Then the human spoke, his voice hoarse from disuse. "Well, I guess the alarm clock worked after all." Zara and Lyra exchanged bewildered looks. Their routine mission had just become the discovery of a lifetime. As more pods began to activate around them, one thing was clear: the human story was far from over, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Awakening and revelations. As more cryopods hissed open, the cavernous chamber began to fill with the sounds of coughing and confused murmurs. Humans of various ages and ethnicities stirred to life, each experiencing the same disorienting transition from millennia of slumber to sudden wakefulness. Captain Lyra holstered her weapon, recognizing that diplomacy would be crucial in this unprecedented situation. She activated her universal translator and addressed the group. "Greetings, humans. I am Captain Lyra of the Zarkonian Exploration Fleet. We mean you no harm." The first human to awaken, a tall man with graying hair and sharp blue eyes, stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Ethan Carter, Chief Scientist of Project Ark. What year is it? How long have we been asleep?" Zara and Lyra exchanged uneasy glances before the captain replied. By our reckoning, it has been approximately 800,000 years since the fall of Earth. A collective gasp rippled through the awakening humans. Dr. Carter's face paled, but he maintained his composure. Longer than we anticipated, but the Cryo systems performed beyond our wildest expectations. As more humans regained their bearings, Dr. Carter began to explain their situation to the Zarkonian officers. Project Ark had been humanity's last-ditch effort to preserve their species in the face of the Galactic Council's extinction order. A select group of scientists, engineers, and skilled individuals had been placed in stasis, hidden away in this asteroid facility, with the hope of eventually rebuilding human civilization. But why? Lyra asked, her scales shifting in a pattern of confusion. Why did the Galactic Council deem humanity a threat? Dr. Carter's expression darkened. Fear, mostly. Humanity was advancing rapidly, developing technologies that some council members found alarming. Our potential scared them, so they decided to eliminate us before we could challenge their power. As the humans continued to awaken and gather, Zara noticed something odd. Dr. Carter, why are there so few children among your group? The scientist's eyes filled with sadness. The Cryo process was risky for developing bodies. We could only save a handful of our youngest. The future of our species rests on their shoulders, and on the genetic banks we've preserved. Meanwhile, other humans had begun activating computer terminals throughout the facility. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing the state of the solar system and beyond. Many gasped at the sight of Earth, or rather, the asteroid field that had once been their homeworld. A young woman with dark skin and curly hair approached the Zarkonians, her eyes brimming with a mix of curiosity and determination. I'm Dr. Amara Okafor, cynobiologist. I have so many questions about your species, about how the galaxy has changed in our absence. Captain Lyra found herself warming to the humans' enthusiasm. And we have many questions for you as well. Dr. Okafor, your survival is nothing short of miraculous. As the initial shock began to wear off, the awakened humans started to organize themselves. It was clear that they had prepared extensively for this moment, with each person falling into pre-assigned roles. Engineers began running diagnostics on the facility systems, while others started compiling data on their new reality. Dr. Carter addressed the group, his voice carrying a mix of hope and caution. We've slept for far longer than we ever imagined, but our mission remains the same. We are the seeds of humanity's rebirth, but we must tread carefully. The galaxy that feared us still exists, and we are few. He turned to Captain Lyra, his expression serious. Your discovery of us changes everything. We need to know, will you report our existence to your superiors, to the Galactic Council? Lyra felt the weight of history pressing down upon her. Her answer could shape the future of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. She exchanged a long look with Zara before responding. Officially, our mission is to report all findings to Zarkonian High Command, she began slowly. But I believe your story deserves to be heard. The injustice done to your people cannot be ignored. Dr. Carter nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Then perhaps, Captain, we can forge a new path together, one that leads to understanding rather than fear. As humans and Zarkonians began to mingle, sharing knowledge and stories, the seeds of an unlikely alliance were sown. The future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity's indomitable spirit had survived the test of time, and they were ready to reclaim their place among the stars. Secrets of the Ark. As the initial shock of awakening faded, the true scope of Project Ark began to unfold. Dr. Carter led Captain Lyra and Lieutenant Zara on a tour of the massive facility, revealing the extent of humanity's preparation and ingenuity. They entered a vast chamber filled with rows of sleek, dormant machines. This is our fabrication center, Dr. Carter explained, his voice filled with pride. With raw materials, these devices can create almost anything we need, from simple tools to complex electronics. Zara's antennae twitched with excitement. Incredible. This level of adaptive manufacturing is beyond even our current capabilities. As they moved deeper into the facility, they came upon a room bathed in an eerie blue glow. Countless cylindrical containers lined the walls, each filled with a shimmering liquid. Dr. Amara Okafor stood at a control panel, reviewing data. "Welcome to the heart of Project ARC," she said, gesturing around the room. "This is our genetic vault. It contains the DNA of thousands of Earth species, plants, animals, and a diverse sampling of human genetic material." Captain Lyra's scales rippled with awe. "You've preserved your entire biosphere." Dr. Okafor nodded. "As much as we could. We have the means to clone and recreate a wide variety of Earth's life forms. It was our failsafe. Even if only a handful of us survived, we could still rebuild." As they continued their tour, the true magnitude of human foresight became clear. The Ark contained vast libraries of human knowledge, advanced power systems that had kept the facility running for millennia, and even prototype faster-than-light drive designs that the humans had been developing before their near extinction. "We had hoped to reach the stars on our own terms," Dr. Carter said wistfully. "Instead, we were forced into hiding. But we never gave up on that dream." While the adults explored the facility, Zara found herself drawn to a small group of human children, the few who had survived the Cryo sleep. They regarded her with a mix of fear and fascination. A young girl, no more than 10 years old, stepped forward bravely. "Are you really an alien?" she asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Zara knelt down, bringing herself to eye level with the child. "I suppose I am, from your perspective. My name is Zora. What's yours?" "I'm Lily," the girl replied. Did your people help destroy Earth?" The question caught Zora off guard. She chose her words carefully. "No, Lily. My people weren't involved in what happened to Earth. We only learned about it from old records. I'm so sorry for what was done to your world." Lily nodded solemnly. "The grown-ups say we have to be careful, that there are still bad aliens out there who might want to hurt us. But you seem nice." This interaction drove home the complexity of the situation for Zora. These humans, even their children, carried the weight of their species near extinction. Their caution was born from a history of betrayal and survival against impossible odds. Meanwhile, Captain Lyra was grappling with her own dilemma. The technology and knowledge contained within the Ark were beyond anything she had ever encountered. If word of this discovery reached the Galactic Council, they would undoubtedly move to destroy it, and the humans, once again. As the tour concluded, Dr. Carter brought them to a final chamber, a holographic command center that displayed a map of the galaxy. "This is where we stand," he said, highlighting their position. "And this is what we know of galactic civilization based on the data you've shared." The map was a stark reminder of humanity's isolation. They were deep in unclaimed space, far from the borders of any major power. It was both their greatest protection and their greatest challenge. "We need to know, Captain," Dr. Carter said, his gaze intense. "What happens now? We're at your mercy." Lyra felt the weight of countless lives resting on her decision. She looked at Zora, seeing her own conflict mirrored in her lieutenant's eyes. Then she turned back to the humans, to their hope, their determination, and their potential. "What happens now?" Lyra said slowly, "is we find a way forward. Together. Your secret is safe with us, Dr. Carter. But more than that, we want to help." The relief in the room was palpable. But as humans and Zarkonians began to discuss their next steps, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Dr. Okafor rushed to a console, her face pale with worry. "We've got a problem," she announced. "Long-range sensors are picking up a ship. It's not Zarkonian, and it's heading straight for us." The brief moment of unity was shattered. As the humans scrambled to respond to this new threat, one thing became clear. Their struggle for survival was far from over. The true test of this newfound alliance was about to begin. Shadows of the past. The command center erupted into a flurry of activity as humans and Zarkonians alike raced to assess the approaching threat. Dr. Carter's fingers flew across holographic interfaces, bringing up detailed scans of the incoming vessel. "It's a Drikari warship," Captain Lyra said, her scales darkening with concern. "They're scavengers and mercenaries, often employed by the Galactic Council for sensitive operations." Dr. Okafor's eyes widened. "You think they're here for us? But how could they know?" "Unlikely," Lyra replied. "Our mission was top secret. They're probably here to scavenge the system. But if they find you..." Dr. Carter's face hardened with resolve. "Then we need to make sure they don't. What are our options?" Zara stepped forward, her antennae twitching as she analyzed the tactical display. "The asteroid field provides some cover. If we can mask the Ark's energy signature, we might avoid detection." "Easier said than done," one of the human engineers interjected. "This facility wasn't designed for stealth. Powering down completely would endanger the Cryo systems still active." As the group debated their limited options, Lily, the young girl Zara had spoken with earlier, tugged on Dr. Carter's sleeve. "What about the ghosts?" she asked in a small voice. The adults paused, confusion evident on their faces. Dr. Carter knelt down beside her. "What do you mean, Lily?" "The stories the other kids told me," Lily explained, "about the ghosts in the machines, the ones that protected us while we slept." A look of realization dawned on Dr. Okafor's face. "The AI systems. Lily's right. We had adaptive defense AIs monitoring the facility. They'd been dormant to conserve power. But..." Dr. Carter nodded, hope kindling in his eyes. "If we can reactivate them, they might be able to help us hide." With renewed purpose, the humans set to work, racing against time as the Drikari ship drew ever closer. Captain Lyra and Zara offered what assistance they could, marveling at the seamless teamwork of the recently awakened humans. Deep in the heart of the facility, in a chamber that hummed with barely restrained power, Dr. Carter and his team worked feverishly to bring the Ark's AI systems online. Holographic interfaces flickered to life, streams of data flowing like digital rivers. Come on," Dr. Carter muttered, his fingers dancing across the controls. "Wake up, old friend." Suddenly, the chamber filled with a soft blue glow. A synthesized voice, somehow both ancient and timeless, filled the air. "Primary systems online. It's been a long time, Dr. Carter." Relief washed over the scientist's face. "Too long, ARI. We need your help. The facility is in danger." As Dr. Carter briefed the AI on their situation, Captain Lyra watched in amazement. The sophistication of this human-created intelligence was astounding, far beyond anything her people had achieved. "I understand," Araya said once the briefing was complete. "Initiating adaptive camouflage protocols, redirecting power to stealth systems." Throughout the Ark, lights dimmed and non-essential systems powered down. The facility's outer layers shifted, blending seamlessly with the surrounding asteroids. To any outside observer, it would appear as nothing more than another lifeless rock. Back in the command center, tension mounted as they watched the Drikari ship's approach. It entered the system, its sensors sweeping the debris field. Minutes stretched into hours as the vessel methodically searched the area. "They're looking for something specific," Zara observed. "But what?" As if in answer, the Drikari ship began to focus its scans on a particular section of the asteroid field, the remnants of Earth's moon. Dr. Okafor gasped. The lunar base. There was another facility there, much smaller, meant as a decoy. Understanding dawned on Captain Lyra. The Galactic Council must have suspected something survived. They'd been searching all this time. The revelation hung heavy in the air. For 800,000 years, the threat of discovery had loomed, unseen but ever present. It was a chilling reminder of the precariousness of their situation. As the Drikari ship focused its attention on the lunar remnants, a new alert sounded. Dr. Carter's face paled as he read the incoming data. No, No. Araya, what's happening? The AI's voice was calm but urgent. A power fluctuation in Cryo Sector 7. The stealth field is weakening in that area. Can you compensate? Dr. Okafor asked frantically. Negative. The system requires physical intervention. Dr. Carter turned to the group, his expression grim. Someone needs to go out there and manually stabilize the system. If that field fails, we'll be detected for sure. The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone present. Venturing outside meant potential exposure, not just to the harsh vacuum of space, but to the watchful eyes of the Drakari ship. Captain Lyra stepped forward, her scales shimmering with determination. I'll go. My suit can withstand the vacuum, and if I'm spotted, it won't immediately give away your presence. Dr. Carter nodded gratefully, but concern etched his features. It's too risky to go alone. I'll come with you. As the two prepared for their dangerous mission, the rest of the group watched the Drakari ship with bated breath. The fate of humanity's last refuge, and perhaps the future of the galaxy, now rested on the success of this perilous repair. With a final check of their equipment, Captain Lyra and Dr. Carter stepped into the airlock. As the outer doors opened, revealing the star-studded expanse and the looming threat beyond, one question hung unspoken between them. Could the mistakes of the past be undone, or were they doomed to repeat history's darkest chapter? A perilous gambit. The vastness of space enveloped Captain Lyra and Dr. Carter as they emerged from the Ark's hidden airlock. Tethered to the facility by slender but strong cables, they propelled themselves carefully across the asteroid's craggy surface. The Drakari ship loomed in the distance, a constant reminder of the danger they faced. There, Dr. Carter's voice crackled through the comm. That outcropping conceals the access panel to Cryo Sector 7. They maneuvered towards the spot, acutely aware that any sudden movement could catch the attention of the searching vessel. As they reached the panel, Lyra kept watch while Carter worked to stabilize the failing system. How's it looking? Lyra asked, her eyes constantly scanning for threats. Carter's breath was heavy with exertion. Not good. The power coupling is more degraded than we thought. A simple patch won't hold. Back inside the Ark, tension mounted as the others monitored the situation. Zara paced nervously, her antennae twitching. Dr. Okafor stared intently at the readouts, willing them to improve. The Drakari ship is changing course, one of the human technicians announced. It's moving away from the lunar remnants. A collective sigh of relief was cut short as Araya's calm voice interjected. Alert. New scan pattern detected. The Drakari vessel appears to be conducting a more thorough sweep of the entire asteroid field. Outside, oblivious to this new development, Lyra and Carter continued their frantic work. We need to reroute power from another sector, Carter muttered, but that'll leave part of the facility exposed. Lyra's scales rippled with concern. Do we have a choice? No, Carter admitted grimly. He activated his comlink. Araya, we need to divert power from Sector 12 to stabilize this junction. Understand it'll create a brief window of vulnerability. Understood, Dr. Carter. Initiating power transfer now. As they worked, a flicker of movement caught Lyra's eye. Her heart raced as she realized what it was. Carter, she hissed. We've got company. A small Drakari probe droid had detached from the main ship and was weaving its way through the asteroid field, drawing ever closer to their position. Inside the Ark, alarms blared. Probe detected, Zora shouted. It's on an intercept course with the captain and Dr. Carter's position. Dr. Okafor turned to Araya's holographic interface. Can we do anything to distract it? The A's response was quick. Affirmative. Initiating countermeasures. In space, Lyra and Carter watched in tense silence as the probe approached. Suddenly, a series of small objects launched from hidden ports across the asteroid's surface. Decoys, Lyra realized, designed to mimic the energy signature that had attracted the probe. The drone hesitated, its sensors overwhelmed by the sudden burst of activity. It changed course, moving to investigate one of the decoys. "It worked," Carter exclaimed. "But we're not out of the woods yet. We need to finish this repair and get back inside before it realizes the deception." They redoubled their efforts, acutely aware that their time was running out. As Carter made the final connections, Lyra kept her eyes on the probe, which was now systematically eliminating the decoys. "Done," Carter announced. "Let's move." They began their careful journey back to the airlock, every second feeling like an eternity. The probe had destroyed the last decoy and was once again sweeping the area. Inside the Ark, everyone held their breath. Zara's hands were clenched tight, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing Lyra and Carter's progress. Just as the pair reached the airlock, the probe turned towards them. "It's seen them," someone shouted. In that critical moment, Araya's voice rang out, initiating Emergency Protocol Omega. Suddenly, the entire asteroid seemed to shudder. Fragments of rock broke off, creating a debris field that engulfed the probe. In the confusion, Lyra and Carter slipped inside the airlock, the outer doors sealing behind them, just as the probe burst through the cloud of asteroids. As they removed their helmets, both Lyra and Carter were breathing heavily, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. They rushed to the command center, where they were met with a mix of relief and renewed tension. "What happened out there?" Lyra demanded. Dr. Okafor quickly explained Araya's emergency action. The AI used focused vibrations to break off pieces of the outer asteroid layer. "It bought you just enough time to get inside." "Clever," Carter nodded. "But now that probe knows something's here. It's only a matter of time before." He was cut off by a priority alert from Araya. "Warning. The Drikari vessel is moving into attack position. They have detected the anomaly and are preparing to open fire on this sector." The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone in the room. Centuries of hiding, of careful preparation, were about to be undone. Dr. Carter turned to Captain Lyra, his eyes filled with a mixture of determination and desperation. "Captain, I know we've just met, but I'm asking you now, will you stand with us? If we reveal ourselves, your people might brand you a traitor, but if we do nothing, everything we fought to preserve will be lost." Lyra looked around the room, at the faces of the humans who had defied extinction, at her fellow Zarkonian Zara, and at the incredible achievements that surrounded them. In that moment, she knew there was only one choice. "We stand together," she declared. "Araya, bring all systems online. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity is back." As klaxons blared and the Ark hummed to life, preparing for its first battle in 800,000 years, one thing was clear: the real fight for humanity's future was only just beginning. Defiance reborn. The Ark thrummed with energy as long-dormant systems surged to life. Holographic displays flickered across the command center, showing the Drikari warships approach. The tension in the air was palpable as humans and Zarkonians worked side by side, preparing for the coming battle. "Araya, status report," Dr. Carter called out, his fingers dancing across control panels. The AI's voice resonated through the chamber. "All primary systems online. Defensive shields at 89% capacity. Weapons systems charging." Captain Lyra's eyes widened. "Weapons? This facility has offensive capabilities." Dr. Okafor nodded grimly. "We hoped we'd never need them, but we couldn't afford to be defenseless. Not again." Outside, the asteroid's surface began to shift and change. Panels slid open, revealing an array of sleek, advanced weaponry. The Drikari ship, caught off guard by the sudden transformation, halted its approach. "They're hailing us," Zara announced from her station. Dr. Carter took a deep breath, straightening his posture. "Put them through." A holographic screen materialized, revealing the bridge of the Drikari vessel. The alien commander, a reptilian being with mottled gray skin and 4 yellow eyes, regarded them with a mixture of surprise and disdain. Unknown vessel, you are in violation of Galactic Council decree, the commander growled. This system is off limits. Power down and prepare to be boarded. Dr. Carter stepped forward, his voice steady. I'm afraid we can't do that. This is our home, and we have no intention of abandoning it. The Drikari commander's eyes narrowed. Impossible. The species native to this system was eradicated centuries ago. Reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated, Carter replied, a hint of defiance in his tone. We are humanity, and we have survived. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Drikari bridge. The commander's face contorted with a mix of disbelief and growing anger. This changes nothing. The Council's decree stands. Surrender now or be destroyed. As the transmission cut off, alarms blared throughout the Ark. Multiple weapon locks detected, Araya announced. They're powering up their main cannon. Captain Lyra stepped up to Dr. Carter's side. We can't win a prolonged battle against a warship. We need a plan. Carter nodded, his mind racing. Araya, what's the status on the prototype FTL drive? The drive is operational, Dr. Carter, but it has never been tested on a structure of this size. A spark of hope ignited in Carter's eyes. It's our only chance. Begin power-up sequence for the FTL drive. Divert all non-essential power to shields and weapons. As the humans and Zarkonians scrambled to prepare, the first salvo from the Drikari ship slammed into the Ark's shields. The entire structure shuddered under the impact. Shield holding at 72%. Zora reported, her antennae quivering with tension. Dr. Okafor manned the weapons console, her face set with determination. Returning fire. The Ark's advanced weaponry sprang to life, lancing out with precision. The Drikari ship's shields flared under the assault, clearly caught off guard by the power of the human technology. Direct hit on their starboard weapons array, Araya confirmed. But the victory was short-lived. The Drikari vessel, though wounded, pressed its attack with renewed fury. Bolt after bolt of energy crashed against the Ark's weakening shields. Shields at 45% and falling. Zara called out. We can't take much more of this. Dr. Carter turned to Captain Lyra, his expression grim. We're almost ready to jump, but we need more time. Can your ship provide a distraction? Lyra nodded without hesitation. Zara, get to our ship. Hit them from behind. Draw their fire. As Zara raced to their small scout vessel, Dr. Okafor continued to return fire, each shot precisely targeted to maximize damage while conserving their limited energy. The battle raged on, a David and Goliath struggle playing out against the backdrop of space. The Zarkonian scout ship darted and weaved, its small size making it a difficult target as it harassed the larger Drikari vessel. Inside the Ark, systems strained under the pressure. Sparks flew from overloading circuits, and the air grew thick with the acrid smell of burning electronics. FTL drive at 92% charge, Araya announced. Preparing for jump calculations. Dr. Carter gripped the edge of his console, knuckles white. Just a little longer. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the Ark. Alarms screamed as damage reports flooded in. Direct hit to the primary power coupling. Araya reported, its usual calm voice tinged with urgency. FTL charge dropping. We're losing power across all systems. The Drikari commander's face appeared on screen once more, triumph evident in his alien features. Your resistance ends now, humans. Prepare to join the rest of your extinct species. As the Drikari ship's main cannon powered up for a final devastating blow, time seemed to slow. Dr. Carter looked around at his fellow humans, at the Zarkonians who had chosen to stand with them, at the marvels of technology that represented humanity's legacy. In that moment, facing annihilation once again, the indomitable spirit that had allowed humanity to survive for 800,000 years flared to life. Carter's eyes blazed with determination as he turned to the AI interface. AI, initiate Protocol Phoenix. The AI hesitated for a fraction of a second. Dr. Carter, Protocol Phoenix is untested. The risks air. We're out of options. Carter cut in. Do it. Now. As the Drukhari weapon reached full charge, the arc began to change. Its very structure seemed to shift and flow, energy coursing through newly formed conduits. The FTL drive pulsed with power, drawing strength from the very fabric of the arc itself. Captain Lyra stared in awe. What's happening? Dr. Carter's voice was filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. We're about to find out if our last-ditch failsafe works. Brace for jump. The Drukhari ship fired, its massive energy beam lancing out towards the arc. But in that same instant, reality itself seemed to bend around the human facility. There was a flash of blinding light, a sensation of reality twisting, and then the arc, along with the small Zarkonian scout ship, vanished. The Drukhari beam passed through empty space, finding nothing but void where its target had been moments before. In the stunned silence that followed, one thing was certain. Humanity had once again defied the odds. But as the arc hurtled through the unknown corridors of faster-than-light space, a new question loomed. Where would they emerge, and what new challenges awaited them in a galaxy that had long thought them extinct? A new horizon. The arc tumbled through the swirling vortex of FTL space, its structure groaning under the immense stress. Inside, humans and Zarkonians alike clung to whatever they could, as reality itself seemed to twist around them. Dr. Carter's voice barely carried over the cacophony of alarms and creaking metal. Araya. Status report. The AI's response came in bursts, its systems clearly strained. Structural integrity, holding at 62%. FTL drive, operating beyond design parameters, unable to determine current location or trajectory. Captain Lyra, her scales pale with the effort of staying upright, shouted, "How long can we maintain this jump?" Before anyone could answer, the arc gave a violent shudder. Sparks erupted from consoles across the command center as the FTL drive's pitch rose to a deafening whine. Drive overload imminent, Araya warned, preparing for emergency exit from FTL. Dr. Okafor's fingers flew across her console, diverting all available power to inertial dampeners and shields. This is going to be rough. With a final, wrenching twist of pseudo-motion, the arc burst back into normal space. The sudden deceleration sent everyone sprawling despite the dampener's best efforts. For a long moment, silence reigned, broken only by the soft hiss of settling debris and the labored breathing of the survivors. Slowly, painfully, they began to pick themselves up. Dr. Carter staggered to the main view screen, activating it with shaking hands. Araya, where are we? The view that materialized left them all speechless. Before them stretched a vast nebula, its swirling colors painting the void in hues of purple, blue, and gold. Massive, newborn stars peeked through the cosmic clouds, their light refracting in dazzling patterns. Preliminary analysis suggests we have emerged in the Carina Nebula, Araya reported, its voice stabilizing. We are approximately 7,500 light-years from Earth's former location. Impossible. Lyra breathed. Even our most advanced ships can't jump that far in a single bound. Dr. Carter's expression was a mix of awe and concern. Protocol Phoenix worked better than we ever imagined, but at what cost? He turned to address the room. Damage report, all stations. As the crew scrambled to assess their situation, Zora's voice came over the comms. Captain Lyra, our scout ship is still with the Ark, but we've suffered heavy damage. Request permission to dock for repairs. Granted, Lyra replied, relief evident in her voice. Dock as soon as ARIA can open a bay for you. Over the next few hours, the true extent of their situation became clear. The Ark had survived its impossible journey, but not unscathed. Entire sections were without power, and the FTL drive was little more than a fused mass of exotic materials. In the makeshift medical bay, Dr. Okafor tended to the injured, her face grim as she catalogued the cost of their escape. "We lost 23 in the jump," she reported softly. 18 humans, 5 still in Cryo sleep that failed during the transition. The weight of those losses hung heavy in the air. Dr. Carter nodded solemnly, allowing himself a moment of grief before refocusing on the challenges ahead. "What's our status, ARI?" The AI's holographic avatar flickered into view. "Life support is stable. Food production systems are operational at 70% capacity. The Orcs' self-repair systems are active, but full restoration will take approximately 3 months at current efficiency levels." Captain Lyra, who had been conferring with Zora, stepped forward. "Our ship's long-range communications are offline, but we've managed to tap into the Galactic information network. It seems our jump didn't go unnoticed." She activated a holo display, showing news reports from across known space. The headlines were variations on a theme. "Mysterious energy surge detected," "Ancient weapon activated," and "Galactic Council calls emergency session." "They don't know it was us," Zara added, "but the whole galaxy is on high alert." Dr. Carter ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing with the implications. "So we've bought ourselves some time, but we're not out of danger yet." As if to underscore his point, ARI chimed in. "Alert. Long-range sensors are detecting multiple vessels on an intercept course. Estimated time of arrival, 72 hours. The news sent a ripple of tension through the group. They had escaped immediate destruction, only to find themselves in a race against time once more. But as Dr. Carter looked around at the determined faces of his fellow humans and their newfound Zarkonian allies, he felt a surge of hope. They had already achieved the impossible. Perhaps they could do it again. "All right," he said, his voice strong and clear. "We have 72 hours to get this arc in fighting shape. But more than that, we need a plan. Not just for survival, but for our future." Captain Lyra nodded in agreement. "We can't run forever. Sooner or later, we'll have to face the Galactic Council and reclaim humanity's place in the stars." As the group began to discuss strategies and possibilities, a new energy filled the air. The nebula outside their viewports served as a constant reminder of the beauty and opportunity that awaited them in this vast, unknown universe. They had escaped extinction, crossed impossible distances, and forged unlikely alliances. Now, on the edge of unexplored space, humanity stood poised to write a new chapter in its history. The challenges ahead were daunting, but for a species that had endured 800,000 years of silent waiting, no obstacle seemed insurmountable. As Dr. Carter looked out at the cosmic nursery of the Carina Nebula, a quote from an ancient human philosopher came to mind. "We are stardust, billion-year-old carbon." Now, it seemed, humanity had the chance to return to the stars from which they had been born, to reclaim their cosmic heritage and forge a new destiny among the celestial lights. The Ark, this impossible lifeboat of human perseverance, had carried them across time and space. Now it would serve as the foundation for humanity's renaissance. As the survivors of Earth prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead, one thing was certain: the human story was far from over. In fact, perhaps the most exciting chapter was just beginning.